in a school. When you study what we call classical studies, we must know the Netcher. You see, maybe in the future we need to know some heretic too. We need to know the Netcher. In Kemet for me is education. The way they think, they build, and they practice their education is very unique in history. Without education, I believe there will be no Kemet.
All right. ETM Hotep. Welcome in peace. Welcome to the Sesh channel. This is your brother Wujau Menebedi Ma'at. And today is October 13th, 2022. And I know it's a Thursday and it's late as usual. As you know, become accustomed to pulling up or popping up at any moment. That's why it's very important for those who were tuned in. Now, I really appreciate you, first of all. And this is why I always let people know you need to subscribe and hit the bell, notification bell. Don't just hit the bell, but make sure when you hit the bell, click on all notifications. All right. So tonight's topic is going to be similar, or tonight's live stream is going to be similar to the last live stream that has a similar picture that you see on the screen. We see the word Medew, the word Athribis. Except this time, we are going to talk about Demonyms. All right. And actually, this will probably be my 1000th time discussing Demonyms within the last 4 years or so. I'm exaggerating, but I've talked about this and spoken on this topic many times. And so tonight I'm doing it once again to revisit it. But as I said in the last show, when we were discussing relational adjectives, aka NSBEs, the difference here is I'm going to give a brief crash course on Demonyms, but I'm also going to anchor it into something more recent in terms of the issues that are being discussed on various different platforms. All right. So the same thing I did with relational adjectives, just anchoring it in to something that may be more relevant to people. All right. So get out your pens and your pad. Pull out that same pad that you used last time on the show. Just flip the page over, turn the page. We're going to get busy and continue our lessons. All right. So, but first, I'm kind of buying a little bit of time for people to tune in because, as I said, a lot of times when I go live on the channel, it's just out the blue. You really don't know what time or what day. That's not something to really brag about, but that is the case. And so when I pop up and go live, I just want to give everybody a chance to come on in, chime on in, get your tea, get your water, get your pens, pads, pop open the laptop, get your iPad. All right. Because every time we go live, I want it to be a teaching moment, a learning moment. You're going to learn something. You're going to walk away with something. So tonight is definitely no different. Okay, so again, the topic is Demonyms. Demonyms revisited. And I've been through this many times. But just quickly, on the screen, you see two books. The one on the left is a 2019 publication by myself, Brother Sarmotep, and the Brother Sanjeti as the Shemsu Heru research team. And it's entitled A Contribution to the Debate on the Meaning of the Place Name Kemet. All right, so we put that book together from notes, really, consolidated our notes to inform the audience at the 2019 ASCAT conference, knowing that at such conferences, you're only giving a very short period of time to speak. And depending on the topic that you're speaking about, it's definitely the best move to put your presentation, put your whatever information you're conveying, to put it in print. That way people can walk away and look further into what you're saying, because you only get a little bit of time. And usually at conferences, presentation is very summary driven. All right. And depending on the complexity of the topic, you really can't do much and say much. Unless there's, the event is arranged around a full discussion around the topic, then that's a different story. But anyway, that's that book on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side is an unpublished book that I am currently working on, and I hope to have published in the first quarter of next year. That will be the Ancient Egyptian Orthography and Grammar. That's what the title is. And it is a synchronic analysis of older Rani Kemet. And it will include Sesh Netcher, which is an analysis and study of the writing system, as well as the morphology and syntax of the actual language, Rani Kemet. So it's a full-on grammar. It's going to be a full package covering everything. And like I said, I hope to have that published by the first quarter of next year. All right. So that's going to be a one-stop shop for anybody wanting to learn the language, even people who already are familiar with the language and would like to step up and start teaching it. You'll be able to use this as a textbook. And that's exactly what it will be, a textbook and a workbook. All right. Okay. So with all that good stuff out the way, I hope y'all got your all's pens and pads and everything. So we're going to just jump on in. So let me remove the chat here. All right. Now, so Demonyms Revisited. You see Kemet, you see Athribis on the screen. Again, just to let you all know, because people wondering, because we haven't really advertised, we haven't really went on any kind of marketing campaign for the book ever since it was published in 2019. People didn't even know it existed, really, or where to get it if they hear about it. So it's available on Amazon. You can just type in the name, and it will definitely pop up. All right. Or a link can be provided real quick as well, already provided. So again, just want to remind everyone that here on the Seshu channel, one thing that we would like to advocate is quality over quantity. All right. And it's represented by the famous, saying, clean glass next to dirty glass, muddy glass of water. All right. So if you are thirsty and you are presented with only one option, which is a muddy glass of water, you will drink it, because you have to drink water or you will die. All right. But if given an option, you would drink the clean glass of water, even though it's only half full. You would get more water if you drink the muddy water. Or said the other way, you will get less water if you drink clean water. So you would have to choose quality or quantity. Quality or quantity. Now you could take your chance. I don't know what that is floating at the bottom, the bottom of that glass. You could take a chance now. Or you could settle for the quality, but you may get less, or you in this case you are gonna get less water. All right. So this is a visual representation of our attitude towards disseminating information. All right. So there you have it. Just want to remind everyone of that. Hopefully everybody understands that, because you won't believe that the very, very first time I've ever showed this, people asked me to elaborate, and I'm saying there's nothing else to elaborate. That's the point of it. It's visual. It just represents that quality versus quantity. And we prefer quality over quantity in this case. All right. Now, if you were to have a financial discussion with me and you talking banking and bank accounts, then it's definitely all about quantity. So, don't think this is a universal axiom that applies with everything, but it definitely applies with information. All right. So we're dealing with quality scholarship, quality information. That's what we prefer. All right. Forget quantity. You get a whole bunch of nothing. All right. So let's dive into the subject matter. So what is the objective for tonight? Just like we did last time, I'm going to present these 4 bullet points, and we're going to walk through them one by one, because I don't want this video to be too long, but I want everyone to walk away with a nice meal. So the objective is to answer the question of what is a demonym. Now, by the way, if you have questions right now, I'm not looking at the chat. So shout out to everyone in the chat. I appreciate anyone tuning in. Once I'm done, as you see the last bullet, Q&A, I will definitely pay attention to the chat. Or if I engage, there is a point where I will engage the chat. So just stay tuned for that in the middle of this. But just to let you know, I'm not watching the chat at this very moment. Okay? Because I don't want people to think I'm ignoring them, So the first point is, what is a demonym? So we're going to answer that question. What is a demonym? The second point is, how did the ancient Egyptians express demonyms? So once we found out what they are, we're gonna explore how did the ancient Egyptians express them. Then number 3, how does Kemet relate to demonyms? And then 4, we're gonna have a discussion, engage the chat, questions and answers. All right, keeping it very, very simple. All right, because last time I did on our last show, there was a lot of good feedback. Okay, these nice short kind of shows that's under 2 hours or under, and talking about something more narrow like this is very, very beneficial. That's the feedback I'm getting. So we're gonna continue. So here we go. All right. So the first thing, what is a demonym? And I have my trusty arrow on the screen. So what is a demonym? And I'm just reading from the screen, and let me make sure you all can see it. Let me at least do that. It's nice and big on the screen. Okay. And I hope that I could be heard very well. It'd be a shame. I'm always worried about that, because I did a whole show. I did 30 minutes of silence to the crowd, but I was talking. All right. So here we are. So words, and I'm reading, words that refer to residents or natives of a particular place and are derived from the name of the place are called demonyms. From the Greek demos, which means people, tribe, and onama, and I'm probably definitely mispronouncing that, which means name. Okay, so let me stop right there. Now I'm gonna tell you this. When I first started talking about demonyms years ago, the assumption is that I was talking about demons, like evil spirits, and obviously that could be perfectly understood why people would assume that, because demonym that has the word demon, look like it has the word demon in it, etc. But no, this is not that type of party over here. So if in case any of you all were wondering that, now you know. So no, it comes from a name of a people. Okay, demonym. In other words, demonyms are derived from toponyms. Now, as you all should know by now, toponyms are place names. Okay, so demonyms are derived from toponyms. That's very important. Okay, as a matter of fact, it's so important. Let me highlight that. Demonyms are derived from toponyms. Let me highlight it or bold it, underline, and change it to red. You know how we do it around here. Demonyms are derived from toponyms and express a relationship between a group of people and their place of origin or residence. Okay, very, very simple. You all could take a screenshot of this or come back and revisit the video. So now, that's what a demonym is. All right, so we've answered the first question. But in addition to that, demonyms are part of a family of naming conventions within the larger field of onomastics. Okay, onomastics is the study of names. All right, and so on the screen you have right in the center demonyms. Now the placement of these is not in any particular order. Okay, I just happen to have demonyms in the middle. So a demonym is the name of people from the name of the place of residence. But along with demonyms, you have toponyms, as I mentioned earlier. So toponyms are place names, and toponyms can be further broken down into a variety. And I only have two here, but there's more than two, but I only show two examples here. One is a hydronym, which you could safely assume hydro meaning water, and it's a water name. So it's the name of water. So for example, the Pacific Ocean, that's a hydronym. Atlantic Ocean, that's a hydronym. So the names of bodies of water are hydronyms. Oronyms are mountain names. All right. Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Everest. Those are oronyms. So very, very simple, right? Then you have anthroponyms, names of human beings, and those could be further broken down into ethnonyms, which are ethnic names, and then they can further be divided into two varieties, one that are self-named and the other one that are externally named. The self-named are endonyms, for endo meaning internal, and exo meaning outside, outward. Those are externally named. All right. So, you know, when we hear things like even the word Egypt, Egyptians, the Egyptians didn't refer to themselves as Egyptians. So that would be an exonymic ethnonym. If you know you call somebody an Egyptian. Endonymically, it would be Remich, the Remich. All right. So that's just a quick crash course on the placement of demonyms. So demonyms is part of a family of different names under the study of onomastics. All right, study of names. Now let's get into some examples. So here are some English examples of demonyms. These are very simple, very straightforward, and everyone in the chat, I know you are familiar with these. So let's go down the list a little bit. Where's my trusty arrow? And here we are. So we have toponyms on the left and their derived demonyms to the right. Remember that important point in red. Demonyms are derived from toponyms. Okay, so this is why you see the arrow. So I have some examples. Jamaica, Mexico, America, Canada, India, Russia, Australia, Africa, Europe, and Asia. So the demonym of Jamaica would be Jamaican. The demonym of Mexico would be Mexican. America, American. Canada, Canada. By the way, these are in the singular. They also have plural forms. So Jamaica, Jamaican or Jamaicans. Mexican, Mexicans. So keep that in mind. So America, American. Canada, Canadian. India, Indian. Russia, Russian. Australia, Australian. Africa, African. Europe, European. Asia, Asian. All right, very simple. We should all be familiar with these. Now, and we are, but we may not, we may have never referred to these places as toponyms, and probably would never refer to Jamaican as a demonym, because in everyday conversation, you don't have to say any of that stuff. So now here's where you get tuned in to the linguistic description of these things and what they're called. All right. But now, as we can see here, the demonyms on the left are formed from the toponyms by adding an additional suffix to it to denote a relational adjective. Okay? In English, it is common to find the suffixes an or n, ian, anian, nian, ine, anoa, etc., etc. Even have it, and ish. For example, the New Yorker, or New Yorkers, plural. New York is the toponym. New Yorker is the demonym. It has the ER on there. Britain and British. Or something to that effect. And so these endings in English, they're added to the toponyms to create the adjectival form. All right. So these are all English examples, and these should be pretty straightforward. All right. So I'm not even going to do a thermometer check with that. I'm just going to be confident that everyone in the chat is following along with me. All right. So let's keep going. Next. So now we want to know the next question. So that really answered all of question number 1. What is a demonym? And we gave examples in English. So now we're going to move to how did the ancient Egyptians express demonyms? Okay, now that we know what they are and some familiar examples, now let's go into the world of ancient Egypt. All right. How did they express demonyms? So how did the ancient Egyptians express? Now we find a similar occurrence in ancient Egyptian, just like we did in English with those added suffixes. Suffixes are added to toponyms to form demonyms or relational adjectives, also called Nisbe adjectives. And there's that word again, Nisbe adjectives. Now, so for those of you in the chat who may have missed last show, you have to go back and watch the last show. All right? Because in the last show, there was a crash course type brief lesson on Nisbe adjectives. And that was a revisit as well, because I talk about Nisbe adjectives for years. And we got a whole lot of videos on our channel right now in the archives with more elaborate information about this stuff. Okay, so that's for your FY as a FYI. Okay, so here's the formula. Now, if you tuned in last show, you saw the formula where I had substantive plus the Y plus endings. Now, in this one, you see toponym plus Y plus endings. So why do I have toponym there? Is because a Nisbe adjective is the same thing. It just so happens that the substantive happens to be a toponym. Okay, that's the difference. So the form, and this is specific to demonyms. All right, so it's not just any substantive. It's a substantive that happens to be a toponym. All right, so keep that in mind. So it's a toponym, which stands for the substantive, plus Y, which is the Nisbe ending, then the normal declensional endings that you see there after the plus sign. All right, so make sure you lock that in. All right, so now we're going to go through an example like we did with on last show. I walked through an example. So hopefully those of you in the chat now, you all were there on the last show. All right. So we're going to use this toponym, this ancient Egyptian place name. This particular place name that you see the glyphs for is a place called Nebut. And depending on who you're talking to, it may be pronounced Nebwet. Some people will pronounce it that way. All right? Nebut. Now, this is a place. This place is known as Gold Town after the word Nebu for gold. All right? Now, among archaeologists, in the archaeological literature, this place is known as Nakata. So if you've ever heard of Nakata 1, Nakata 2, Nakata 3, etc., this is the area that everyone has been talking about. All right? The ancient Egyptians knew this place as Nebut. All right? So I'm just putting you in the ballpark area. So if you go to Wikipedia, you go to Google, you look up Nakata, see it on the map, bam, that's where we're talking about. So this is the place name. So now let's use the formula. Let me grab that formula over here and my arrow. So let's use the formula and let's express the different forms of this as a demonym. Okay, so here's the formula. So we have the toponym plus y plus endings. All right. So let us go here. Give me 1 second. Just want to get you all prepped up here. All right. So we have the toponym, and we're gonna do 4 forms. We're gonna do the masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, and feminine plural, just like we did last show with just Nisbys in general. Okay, relational adjectives, aka Nisbys in general. Okay, so now so here, let me go ahead and engage you all because I want to see how many of you all have were paying attention last time. All right. Let's get into the chat. So, who in the chat or anybody in the chat, give me the masculine singular Nisby form of this particular toponym. All right, who wants to take a shot at it? And I'm looking at the chat again. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat. I really appreciate it. You know, you all are tuning in on my pull up, drive by, middle of the night live stream. All right, shout out to everyone. I see we got everything is everything. I think you're taking a stab at it. Nebu, you? Is that what you're gonna go with? You see how people sound at? Are you sure about that? I think that's what you want to go with first. All right, so let's see if anybody else. You all know I like 3 responses before I move on. 3 responses. I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. Up, down, left. All right. Masculine singular. Oh, okay. So Donnie Williams agrees. Okay, so one more person. I got two. I need one more. I need one more. And then I'll be able to go forward. I can't move forward unless I have one more. Okay, so that should have, okay, so we got 3. All right. So Here's the answer. Now remember, you all have to remember this how you know who's paying attention. Who's paying attention. So remember the formula. I put the formula on the screen. We have, in this case, it's a toponym. So remember, NSBs in and of themselves are only derived from either substantives, aka nouns, and I don't like to use the word noun, and I can get into that later if somebody asks me. But I say it in other videos all the time. So, but NSBs can be derived from substantives or prepositions only. That's it. They're not going to be derived from verbs, adverbs, and any other word class. All right. But in this case, for demonyms, the substantive happens to be a toponym. It has to be a place name. Okay, and this is the example. So again, Goldtown or Nakata or Nebut is the place name. So remember, here's the formula. So the masculine singular, you would simply do this. You would add a Y to the form, and that would be masculine singular. All right. Nebuti. So remember that, Nebuti. And let me get my masculine singular. If you all will recall, we had all these on the screen here. This is from the last time when we did Aminet, which was feminine and singular. But I'm just grabbing a couple of things. Y'all know how I do. Save time, just grabbing. This is called recycling previous slides. Okay, so that's the masculine singular. So let's keep moving. What is the feminine singular? So remember, we're going to take the toponym, bring it down. We're going to bring the toponym down. And what are we going to do to it? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the dot. And I explained last time why we use dots and equal signs. It's really a morphological thing that we do in terms of dealing with the language to reveal or analyze the morphology of different words. But we remove the dot, we add the Y, and what are we going to do? We're going to put the ending on there. And the ending for feminine, and see, spell check is definitely going to mess me up. So Nebutit would be feminine singular. All right. And just to get through these, I'm going to keep on going because you all are going to get this. So masculine plural now. For masculine plural, we do the same. We're going to remove that dot. We're going to add the Y, changing it to a NSB, but we have to add the appropriate endings for masculine plural. Okay, those are declensional endings. Remember, gender and number are declensional endings. So now we're going to masculine plural. And what is the masculine plural declensional ending? It is W. Nebutiu. Masculine plural, Nebutiu. All right. That is masculine and plural. We're going to recycle this over here. So that's masculine plural. Now about feminine plural. And I don't know why that did that. We're just going to erase that. There we go. Feminine plural. We're going to take the toponym. We're going to get rid of that dot because we're doing a different analysis. We're going to add the Y, creating the NSB derived from the toponym. Now we have to add the declensional endings for feminine and plural. Feminine and plural ending is WT. Nebutiut, or depending on who you talk to, Nebutiwet. All right, and that would be feminine plural. Okay, so those are the 4 derived forms from this toponym. Now here's a little FYI. Remember last week we went into the meaning, the semantic outcome of Nisbi adjectives. And remember, what does the word Nisbi mean? The reason why scholars refer to it as a Nisbi is because the word Nisbi is from the Arabic language, which means relationship or relation. And so these are relational adjectives, so they just get nicknamed Nisbis. All right, but they're also derived adjectives because they're derived from something. If it weren't for that something, they could not exist. So again, this is the way the ancient Egyptians expressed demonyms. If the toponym didn't exist, the demonym can't exist. Why? Because in order for the Nisbi to exist, which would be the demonym, it needs the substantive, which happens to be the toponym. All right? So without this toponym over here, the rest of it is null and void. So we started with this toponym, Nebut. So now remember, Nebut is gold town after the word Nebu, meaning gold. So now, as a Nisbi, it sets a relationship with the location, the place. So because Nebut is gold town as a place name, then Nebuti would be a masculine singular person of that gold town. So we would translate it loosely as he of the gold town. And guess who's, I want to know from the chat. Let me look at the chat. Guess who's famously known with that epithet? Nebuti. Who do you think, or who do you know is known with that epithet? It's very popular, so somebody in the chat should know. Let me see who got it. Let me see who got it. Let me see who got it. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. And it's a deity, by the way. So we're going to narrow down. It's an ancient Egyptian deity that is known, that has an epithet as Nebuti. And it means he of Gold Town. Okay, Deshrab says, Atum, I need 3 responses at least. I got 1. Donnie Williams, African Renaissance. Okay. So I got 3. And all of y'all are wrong. I know somebody has to know this. LA, Oklahoma. Deshrab takes it back. How convenient. After I say it's wrong, let me take it back. Let me take it back. Okay, for the sake of time, I don't want to wait too long. So the answer is Set, Satuk, the so-called evil god. Remember, Satuk is the deity of Nakada, of Nebut. All right. Nebuti, he of Gold Town. In fact, as an FYI, you all need to look more into this and research it. The iconography of Set and everything goes way back. So remember, Set is an old deity. An old deity. All right. So remember that. So don't. Now, the king Seti the First, his name Seti. Guess what that is? It's a Nisbi. He of Set. All right, but let's keep moving on. Let's keep moving forward. So we got that out the way. So I just want to give you an example. So this is a demonstration of how the ancient Egyptians expressed demonyms. They used the linguistic form of a Nisbi adjective. So that's how it's expressed in the language, as a relational adjective, aka Nisbi adjective. All right. So now it's important to keep all this in mind, because I'm going to show another example. Let's deal with this. Another toponym place. This is the place name Abu, which is the capital of the first nome of Upper Kemet near modern day Aswan, aka Elephantine. You see the elephant? The word Abu itself is an ancient Egyptian word that means elephant. But there was a place called by the same name, Abu. All right? So we have Abu here. Now, if I were to, now I'm going to be brief with this one. So let's grab the formula. I got to grab my formula and my arrow. We're going to bring it on over here. So we have the formula here. So let's keep the formula in mind. I'm going to put the formula right down here. So we have the toponym plus the Y Nisbe ending. That's the marker for the Nisbe. And then the declensional endings after it. Now remember our lesson from yesterday, last show. It doesn't matter the gender of the original substantive, in this case toponym, the resulting Nisbe will have its own declensional endings, which is what we just went through with Nebut. All right, I'm just doing that as a reminder. So to briefly show this, because I'm going to make a point here, let's take the toponym. What do we do to it? We add a Y. Adding a Y makes it a Nisbe. He of Abu, or he of Elephantine. Okay? Remember that. He of Elephantine. But let's turn it into the masculine plural. The masculine plural would be Abuyu. Abuyu. That's the masculine plural. Because the original was masculine. That's why you don't see a T. It's not Abutiu, which would only mean that the original toponym was feminine. This particular toponym is not marked for feminine. So we have it in this particular form, which is a masculine plural. And you see the masculine plural ending to W. Now here's my question, and let me look at the chat for this, because I have to look at you all in your eyes. I look everybody in the eyes with this question. Now, if there was a word Abui, which will mean he of Elephantine, or Abuyu, those who are of Elephantine, would you ever translate that as elephant people? That's my question. Would you ever translate that as elephant people? So let me give you some context for that. I'm gonna give you all some context. Let's see if I could quickly give you all some context. How fast can I pull this up? You're all about to see my Sesh skills in real time. I think if I could be fast. If I could be fast. Can I? Can I? All right. This is what you call Sesh magic. If there was a form like this here, bam. If you've ever seen a form like this here, would you translate that as elephant people? Or would you understand the semantic meaning to be those who are of Elephant Town or Elephantine? Which one? So I'm what Six Fingers says yes, but I'm not sure if he's answering my question or not. Donnie Williams says no, more like people of Elephant. Okay, so y'all are answering my question. So Six Fingers, you're crazy. You're crazy for that one. He said he would translate it as elephant people, as if these people look like or are elephants. and that's not the case. Okay, so remember that Nisbe adjectives establish a relationship between an entity and the word from which it derives. In this case, it's a toponym, so we're dealing with demonyms, so we're narrowing it down. Remember what a demonym is. A demonym is a word that establishes a relationship between a person or a group of people and a place in which they originate from or a resident of. All right? So a demonym is a toponym. It needs a toponym. So this wouldn't be elephant people. You're not trying to describe the people as elephants. You're establishing a relationship. Remember this, these words, I'm choosing my words purposely, and I need y'all to really get this. Nisbe adjective, and this is why I don't normally use the word Nisbe. I call it what it is. It's a relational adjective. Even though the word Nisbe means relation, but we don't speak Arabic, so that's not registering in the mind. So I say relational adjective. So you're establishing a relationship. You're not describing the people as elephants. You're relating the people to the place. So it means those of Elephantine. In this case, those of Elephantine, or the people of Elephantine, as LA, Oklahoma correctly put in the chat. All right. So let's keep moving though. Just wanted to kind of have a little pit stop right there. So let me show you all some more examples of ancient Egyptian demonyms that you all can look up and should be familiar with after tonight. So here's some more examples. Now I don't have any of the transliterations on the screen at all, but on the left I have toponyms. I have toponyms, and on the right, the derived relational adjectives, which are demonyms. So again, I'm gonna check the thermometer of the chat. I'm gonna engage the chat. Everyone in the chat. There are 4 examples of toponyms. Anybody in the chat, name one of them. Translate any one of them. And I'll take my first. Whoever can first answer this. Whoever can first answer this. I'm looking for the first answer I see. Who can translate any one of those 4 or transliterate? Excuse me. Transliterate or translate. I'll take either one. All right. Deshareb says Aket, and Deshareb is correct. African Renaissance is correct. He says Dua. Let me actually put this on the jumbo jam. This one is correct. That's the 4th one. Aket. African Renaissance is correct with Duat, which is the 1st one. African Renaissance is also correct, and Donnie was correct. Amenetit. Okay, and that's the 3rd one. Nobody's touching that 2nd one, huh? But that's fine. I'm gonna keep it moving, for the sake of time. The whole point is, these are words that some of us are already familiar with. All right, and you all are demonstrating that. So we have the Duat here, which is a place. We have Iram here, which is another place. And that's a foreign place, by the way. This Iram is actually located south of Kemet in the major region called Ta-Nehisi. That's a whole nother topic. The 3rd one is Amenet, or Netit in this case. And the last one is Aket. All of these are places. Okay? The underworld, a place south of Kemet, the west, and the place, the horizon. Okay? Now, their derived forms are Nisbe or relational adjectives. And these are demonyms. So Duat becomes Duatiu. Iram becomes what? Can someone tell me what this one will become? Anybody know? I don't want to take too long, so I'm probably just blurt out the answer. I'm gonna blurt the answer out. Is that a real word? Blurt? I've been saying it since forever. Blurt. I guess that is a word. Blurt. That's one of those weird words. Blurt. You're gonna blurt it out. Blurt. And y'all know when I'm done, I'm gonna definitely look into that word. Um. Okay. Anyway, this will be Eremiu. We have Amentiyu. Where's my cursor at? Where's my arrow? My arrow's gone. Amentiyu, and then we have Aketiyu. So Duatiyu, Eremtiyu. Excuse me, I said Eremiu, but it's Eremtiyu, Amentiyu, and Aketiyu. All of these are masculine, plural relational adjectives that are demonyms. So the first one will be those of the Duat, those of Erem, those of the West, and those of the horizon. That's what these mean. Those are the horizon. It doesn't make these people the horizon. It doesn't make the people the West. It doesn't make the people Erem. It doesn't make these people the underworld. It establishes a relationship. You see, relational adjective. It's established a relationship. What kind of relationship? It establishes a relationship in such a way, almost genitival, meaning possessive, belonging to. That's why we say he of Nebut. He who belongs to Nebut. They who belong to the Duat. They who belong to Iram. They who belong to the West. They who belong to the horizon. That's the semantic notion that you come away with demonyms or relational adjectives in these cases. Okay, so we've gone through that. So let's go back to our objectives. So we have defined what the demonyms are, and remember that it had nothing to do with evil spirits. They're not demons. We have learned or shown how ancient Egyptians expressed demonyms. How did they express them? They used relational adjectives. Just that simple. So now we're down to the third one. How does Kemet relate to demonyms? How does Kemet relate to demonyms? And for this answer, you can really just go watch the previous video. Okay? Because the particular word that you see on the screen here, Kemetiyu, is a demonym. Now you may not have known that yesterday or the last stream because I didn't mention it. We just went over the fact that it was a Nisbi, but now you know what kind of Nisbi it is. It's an actual demonym. And again, what do demonyms need in order to exist? It needs a toponym. Let's go back to the formula here. Remember? It needs a toponym. Or let's go back to the definition rather. I have it in red and bold. Demonyms are derived from toponyms. Without a toponym, you will have no demonym. Kemetiyu, in this case here that you see, and let me see if I have it big here. Let me put it big here. This word Kemetiyu is a demonym. It is derived from a place. Okay? It takes a toponym and it converts it over into a demonym. It's just that simple, that straightforward. And we went over these last show. So the question that you see on here, this is a slide from the last show. How does Kemet relate to Athribis? But the question tonight is, how does Kemet relate to demonyms? And so let us do that. As you can see here, Kemet, that is a place name. That is a toponym. How do you know? How do we know that that's a toponym? That's a question that some of you watching may have. How do we know that these three forms on the screen are toponyms? Very easy, because there are such things as toponymic determinatives. These are glyphs that come at the end of the words, 99% of the time. At the end of the words, if they're going to have it, and they denote a place, a location in space and time. Okay? And here are some examples of toponymic determinatives. We have the canal glyph, the pool of water, the road, the tongue of land, irrigation channel, triple hills, the town glyph, as they like to call it, and then you have the triple water glyph. All of these glyphs denote a place. Okay, so let's go back to what I was showing you a second ago. This here. Each one of these three forms has a toponymic determinative, and all three of them say Kemet. Kemet, Kemet, Kemet. Kemet, Kemet, Kemet. Kemet, Kemet, Kemet. All right? Now, in order to take this toponym and create a demonym, what do we do? In this case, I have under here, so these Kemets are a substantive, but it happens to be a place name, so it's a toponym, matching our formula earlier. Then if you go through the four different forms that we did, masculine singular, masculine plural, and feminine plural, you'll see that these two forms here are what? Masculine and plural. Kemetiu. These are relational adjectives, and they mean those who pertain to the place. What place? Kemet. So that's the meaning behind this particular form here, Kemetiu. Both of these forms here on the left and on the right are both Kemetiu, seen in two different ways. Kemetiu here and Kemetiu here. So this is where you see the transliteration, what it is linguistically, a relational adjective, and its semantic meaning. It means those who pertain to or relate to the place, which in this case is Kemet. And if we were to say it in our modern English way by adding, remember what I showed you all earlier? Let's go back to that. I showed you all this earlier. For English examples, how we do in English, where we take toponyms and make them demonyms, we add the an suffix, ian, etc. So we got Canadian, American, Mexican, Jamaican, Russian, Indian, etc., etc. Or we can add it, ish, etc. These are all adjectival endings to create the demonym in English. So if we were to do the same thing for the example I just showed you all, here is what I have here, commissions. It'd be romanized. So in other words, let me actually move this over here so you all can see it. I want y'all to see this next to the English so you can understand what I mean when I say romanized. That's a modern, if we modernize it and do it the way we're doing it. So if I were to put this last example here, this is what it would be. So the place is Kemet, and you'll see the pattern. So if the place or the toponym is Kemet, then obviously the derived form would be commissions. Oops, I hope y'all get it. And I don't know what just happened right there. Ah, here we go. Mouse has a mind of its own. So you see that. And since they're all the rest of them are singular, I will make this one singular. Instead of commissions, it'd be commission. So this would be a way to Romanize the same thing. So Kemet is the place, just like India is a place. Canada is a place. What do we do to India? We transform it to Indian as a demonym. Kemet in modern times, if we were to take that word and anglicize it or Romanize it, it would be commission. All right. Or everything I'm saying should be pretty straightforward. And it means those who pertain to the place, Kemet. All right. So, hope everyone understood that. That should be very straightforward and very, very simple. Never, ever, 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 Andre 3000, ever, will you see Kemetiu meaning black people. No different than you will ever see Abuyu or any other thing meaning elephant people. Or even in this example here, we have the fish gnome. If you were to see this form here, you would never translate this as fish people. It's people of the fish gnome, not fish people. You're not describing the people as fish. No different than you wouldn't be describing people as elephants. You're not describing people as gold themselves. In Nebutiu, that doesn't mean gold people. They're not gold themselves. They're of the place called Nebut. That's what demonyms are. That's what relational adjectives are. Okay? So now that you've learned that, now you have an educated way to discern. Remember our slogan, our new slogan. Kill the noise and learn to discern. Kill the noise and learn to discern. You'll have the tools, or at least the foundation. And I'm expecting you all to look more into this, or just join me in class. Take a class, or if, ask me questions. But all of this stuff, this is just a very simple summary, a quick thing, brief thing. But in the language classes, I go into depth to explain it from A to Z and from Z to A, forward, backwards, upwards, and down. Okay, on the different forms and things like that. So, just wanted to give this quick lesson. So let's go. What were our bullet points? What was that? What was the last one? What's the next one? How does Kemet relate to demonyms? Kemet relates to demonyms in the sense that, in the very word Kemetiu, the word Kemetiu is a demonym. Okay, so now let me explain that real quick, because what I gave you is just simply to show you the fact that these three forms of Kemet, producing Kemetiu, is a demonym. It means those pertaining to Kemet. Now let's tie it into a specific attestation, which I did last week, and I don't mind showing it very briefly here. So this particular Kemetiu is a specific place. It's not talking about Kemet as in the entire kingdom of Egypt or ancient Egypt. It's talking about a specific place in Egypt, in ancient Egypt. This particular place became later known as Athribis, and I explained that last week. Okay, no different than these different places becoming named after a major temple complex or something major. So the 10th nome of Lower Kemet became known as Athribis. That's its popular name, and this is why you see it. But in the language here, what you see on the screen is Kemetiu. So this particular demonym is formed from the toponym Kemet, and we went through that last week. Last show. Okay, I think 2 days ago, last show. So go back to the last show and you'll see all that stuff. So again, in answering this question here, how does Kemet relate to demonyms? The very attestation that I showed last show is a demonym. Kemetiu is a demonym from the toponym Kemet. Which Kemet is that? That's not the whole country Kemet. It's a particular Kemet, and that particular Kemet happens to be the 10th nome of Lower Egypt, of Lower Ancient Egypt. All right. Other names it was known as Kem-Wer. It was also known as Kemet-Weret, and it was also known as simply Kemet throughout its Egypt's history. All right. So there you have it. And the last bullet is Q&A. So I'm gonna tune into the chat and see and check the temperature. I got my digital thermometer out, and I want to see if anybody have any questions on anything that I discussed. So the clock starts now. How long have I been on? I've been on for an hour. Okay, so this is gonna be good. It's gonna be nice and short. I won't be too long. So Q&A time. Q&A time. I'm paying attention to the chat. I'm not gonna scroll up. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in. I really appreciate anybody who tunes into these shows. Again, this is quality over quantity. I know that there's other things that could draw a crowd. I'm telling you, I already know what time it is. Y'all just don't know how pseudo that pseudoism is very, very lucrative in terms of popularity, in terms of attraction, and money, financial wise. So pseudoism is very tempting. The strict scholarly discipline stuff, nah, that's not sexy enough. That's boring. That's the boring stuff. Anyway, so the thermometer, I got a thermometer out there. So where are the questions at? Where are the questions? Where are the questions? Where are the questions? Let's see. So Donnie Williams, let's see. That's a demonym. Okay, I'm trying to see. Is it a question? No questions. I think I grasped the concepts. Okay, Donnie, I see you. Shout out to Donnie Williams. Donnie Williams posting pictures and transliterating them on Facebook, y'all. I'm gonna put Donnie on Front Street. Go to Facebook, check out Donnie Williams transliterations. Nah, but he's doing good. He's definitely doing good. Oh, Damo helped me out. Blurt. Okay, so blurt is a word. All right. I've been using it since forever, but it never dawned on me to see if that was just slang or a actual use for that word. So Sat 12, this is the first question I see so far, really. Do you have some glyph sources for irrigated references for Kemet? Similar words. Irrigated reference for Kemet. I'm not quite sure that I understand your question, but the way I understand your question, this particular variation of the word here, this first one, this one is determined by an irrigation channel. Okay. And so I'm not quite sure what you're asking specifically, but this is an actual attested form of the word. and it's an actual early form as well. Then you have one with the canal glyph. So you have the irrigated channel, which is this more narrow one, but then you have the canal glyph as well. Okay, so maybe if you reword your question, if I didn't answer it, give you a better answer. Okay, so that's that. Let's keep going. Patmos. So even if Kemet, all right, let's go here. Patmos. So even if Kemet means black, so it's pretty much saying people of black. Am I right? Well, I'm glad you asked that question because this will allow me to do a very quick review. Remember that, let me put it on the screen as I say this. Put it back on the screen as I say this. I have it highlighted in red. I probably need to highlight it in some fluorescent color. Remember, demonyms are derived from toponyms. And a toponym is from the Greek topos onoma, which means place name. So these are place names. Okay? So to answer your question, go back to your question after saying that, it's saying people of this place. It can only be those of a place. All right. And so if I got your the way you're asking me that question, I could tell you what it's not saying. If, and I'm using if Kemet is a word for black in this case, then a demonym of that still would not be describing the people as black. I think that's what you're really asking me. Medew, and I said this earlier, you will not find a dictionary anywhere in the world, qualified sources as people like to say, experts as others like to say, or PhDs as even others like to say. You will not find any of them that will translate Medew as black people. All right. And here's an FYI for everybody listening. And I want you to pay attention. For years on Facebook and on YouTube, on these YouTube streets, you have heard, even recently, you've heard people create ghost arguments, create clickbait topics, and do a lot of showmanship, stage performing on arguments that are not argued. But what's very interesting is that the most recent iteration of this particular topic about Kemet, that has to do with Kemet itself, is an issue that the late and great Cheikh Anta Diop advanced. So listen, it is Diop that is against Kemet meaning black land. It is Diop who advocates that Kemet means black people. Let me repeat that. It is Diop who advocates against Kemet meaning black land or a reference to the land. It is Diop who advocates that the black is in reference to the people and not the land. The people and not the land. But yet, you will not find in any dictionary, and I have to say it this way, you will not find it in any qualified source or among the experts in the field or among the PhD people where they would translate Kemet as black people, Kemetu as black people, or Kemet as the land of black people, or even say in their explanations and commentary that Kemet is in reference to the skin color of the people. Nowhere. It is Cheikh Anta Diop that advanced that. And at the 1974 UNESCO symposium, that advanced idea was rejected. All right, just had to get a little moment of silence after I said that, because I want that to sink into everybody's mind. All right, and the reason why I brought that up is because in all of these conversations that you've been hearing as of late, all the noise, you don't hear the conversation go back to the original point that Diop was wrong. It's just that simple. All right, so let me take that off of the screen and keep it moving. I don't want to be too long. And I'm going to show you all something very briefly here. Let me pull it up. I want to show you all this very, very briefly here. Very briefly. If I can get to it. Y'all can type out your questions now. Type out your question. I'm still with y'all. I just want to show you all something. Be as fast as I can, Here we go. Here we go. So I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so what you're seeing on the screen right now is our YouTube channel. Okay, this is one of our playlists on our YouTube channel. The playlist on the YouTube channel, and I'm putting you all on to some what we've done in our archives. We're creating these playlists so that you all can go back and watch these videos. This particular playlist is called Kemet Toponym. Okay, it has 15 videos in it right now. And the very first video, now these are in chronological order. The very first video, matter of fact, let me see if I can blow this up so y'all can see it. The very first video in this playlist is an hour 52 video called DWW, which is Divine Words Wednesdays. It's entitled Discussions on the Meaning of Kemet and the Use of Adjectives. All right, that's the first one in chronological order. I'm going to click on it.
Don't advertise on Google Ads or Facebook before blocking clicks.
Okay, I'm just going to play that commercial. I didn't want
Fraud
to do
with pixies. Not a fun fact.
Kemet,
skip that.
and a lot of people should be familiar with that.
All right. The point of me showing you this is to show you how long ago this was. You see it has 13,444 views right now. It was done August 25th, 2016. Okay? 2016. This is 6 years ago. This is a 6-year-old video where we are breaking down the meaning of Kemet and the use of adjectives. And in this video 6 years ago, let me scrub back. You see I have on the screen Ni Kemet or Egyptian toponyms, the Happy River, Jedut, Bas, Dep, Jedu, Inu, Mennefer, Chemnu, Abju, Abu, all these different places. These are toponyms, toponymic determinatives. All this stuff is 6 years ago. See, I have toponymic determinatives there on the screen. What else do we have? Have journal articles talking about African toponyms, how Africans name their place names and things. But I want to show you all something, because the point back 6 years ago was to address this issue here. And I'm going to show it to you like this because I want y'all to see that this was 6 years ago. And so, coming out of The African Origin of Civilization, Myth and Reality by Cheikh Anta Diop, page number 7, he says, and I quote, "In fact, we know that the Egyptians called their country Kemet, which means black in their language. The interpretation according to which Kemet designates the black soil of Egypt, rather than the black man, and by extension the black race of the country of blacks, stems from a gratuitous distortion by minds aware of what an exact interpretation of this word would imply. And so if you read that and you read all the other statements by Diop, he was pushing that Kemet, one, that the Kim in Kemet is black, and that black was not talking about the soil, but rather the skin color of the people. And this is why he translate Kemetiu as black people. But it doesn't mean black people. We just demonstrated that Kemetiu is a demonym. Kemetiu is a relational adjective. Demonym if the substantive from which it's derived is a place. But if it's not a place, it's regardless, it's a relational adjective. And so the next thing, did I show an additional? It was 2 statements that Diop is known for, and I think on that video I only showed that one. I'm trying to scrub to see if I showed the other one. I'm not sure. Maybe later down the line. Guess not. But anyway, go back to that video 6 years ago, and you all will see the whole breakdown on that. All right. So just wanted to share that with y'all real quick. In answering the brother's question. So where we at? Let's go back. I don't want to be long. Okay, that's where I left off. Yep, that's where I left off. All right. Sat 12. I'm trying to be quick, y'all. Sesh, Asar says Kemet means irrigated land. I assume you did also. This without needing those other glyphs like canal, etc. Okay, I guess you're following up with your other question. Well, again, the form that I showed you implies just that. It tells you that. And so again, this is what people have to understand. As you know, and see, here's the funny thing is that people tend to make light of something when they don't want to either accept it or they just want to hate. Really what it boils down to. But we've been called riparian knights, right? But if you look up the word riparian, and I did a whole show on this, if you look up the word riparian from its coinage modern use, it still means it's a zone that has access to water, that produces a habitat that's conducive for living of humans and animals alike. That's what a riparian zone is, where vegetation can grow and so on and so forth. And here's what's crazy, right? The root of riparian is deals with river, water. And here's the thing: everybody and their mother refers to ancient Egypt as the Nile Valley civilization. So they're describing a civilization with 2 words in front of it: Nile and Valley civilization. Okay? So they're describing a riparian zone without using the word riparian zone. It's a river civilization. So we cut out valley, say Nile civilization. What is the Nile? The Nile is a river. So they're describing this thing. And again, I did a whole show, so I'm not going to, rehash all of that stuff. I showed and demonstrated all of the different cities of ancient Egypt were hugged up right along the river. They're called sapats. The actual glyph for a sapat is a crossway of water channels. So Kemet is a collection of cities that have been determined by water channels. So Kemet is a collection of water accessible cities or towns. And so the reason, one of the benefits of advocating riparian is to eliminate the pseudo definition of Kemet meaning black people, or that Kemet has something to do with skin color. See, defining it what it is, which is a riparian zone, it removes that. It removes the capability of anybody associating Kemet with skin color. It keeps it agriculture. It keeps it natural. It keeps it in the same consistent way that Africans still name places to this very day. It's not about skin color at all. And that's what people don't understand. That's the benefit of saying riparian. People don't like that because people are trying to slickly advocate the skin color thing without saying it. They don't want to admit that Diop is wrong on that point. And that's what it boils down to. So I'm gonna keep it going. The next question I see. I'm just looking for questions, y'all. I'm not really looking at the comments because I'm trying to keep it into a Q and A here. So sure, Asar says Kemet means irrigated land. I assume you do too. This is without needing those other glyphs like Kana, etc. For instance, just I6 and G7 equals irrigated land. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what the question is. Sat22, you gotta give me some clarity. I don't see a question. You're just telling me what Asar says. Yeah, you know. Oh, you said I assume that too. Yeah, the place name Kemet, we give. Let me put it on the screen. Do I have it in here? Do I have it in here to show? Do I have it in here to show? I usually do, but for some reason, well, you know, tonight's lesson was about demonyms, and I don't have it. But yes, riparian is what it is. Okay. Now, see, when we say it, you know, we're called riparianites and you know, and the likes to make light of it so that people won't take it serious, you know, riparianites, etc., etc. But I just want to show you something. I want to show you all something. This is from, you know, and I have to do what these other people do, is yield to or appeal to authority, this logical fallacy that gets abused over and over and over again. I want to show you all something. This is Dr. Mario Beatty, right? This is Dr. Mario Beatty during the let me move your comment. This is Dr. Mario Beatty during the 2019 ASCAC conference. And on his own slide, if you look at bullet point number 2, he's telling the audience names that Egypt was known by in the Old Kingdom. But I want you all to pay attention to bullet number 2. Well, let's just walk through all three of them. The first one is Tawi, and a lot of us should already be familiar with that. A lot of you all should be by now. Tawi, it is a masculine dual form of the word Ta, which means region, among other things. Okay, the two regions. People say two lands, but that still kind of leaves you, you know, a little ambiguous. But it's two regions because they saw these things as regional territories. But anyway, Simatawi would be the unification of those two regions. So that's the first bullet point. The second one, Idebwi. Idebwi is also a masculine dual. And it has the connotation of two, the number 2 of something. And it means two riverbanks, comma, the two what? I want somebody to type in the chat. Make sure I'm not tripping. What? Because I may need to make it bigger. What is that word on the second bullet? What's the word there? What's that word start with an R right there? Make sure I'm not seeing things. What's that R word right there? That the expert and PhD student of the master teacher, Dr. Theophilo Benga, himself, Dr. Mario Beatty, is telling the audience here in this slide, his slide. That's right. I'm gonna get to your last comment in a second. I want to know, what is the word in Dr. Mario Beatty's slide on bullet point number 2 that starts with an R? It says Idebwe, the 2 riverbanks, comma, the 2 wetlands. I just want to know, because we're called riparianites, while this particular expert is cited. Nobody. What? Everybody scared to type it? All right, let me make it bigger. Can't believe I have to make this bigger like this. I want y'all to see it. Do y'all see that? Do I have to put my did I put my cursor here? My trusty arrow here? What does that say? What am I pointing to right there? What am I pointing to? All right, so listen, nobody's gonna answer it, and it's right there on the screen. This is amazing. This is amazing. It is amazing that nobody's willing to type that. All right, so let me get back to the questions. Get back to the questions. So let me scroll up. Let me scroll up. Let me scroll up. Let's see. Any questions? Okay, irrigated land. I saw that one. Champollion. I'm looking for questions. I'm looking for questions. Looking for questions. Okay, I think Sat 12. Okay, the Seshu. The new argument against what you are saying is that Kemet refers to the color black or something colored black, but you're saying Kemet does not refer to anything about black, not even the soil. No, Sat 12, I'm going to be very clear. The place name Kemet has nothing to do with people's skin color. That is the entire argument. There is no new argument or new goalposts. See, the thing is, the goalpost moving, people have graduated from moving goalposts to moving entire football fields, entire basketball stadiums. They're just moving the whole thing now. You all have to remember, just go back to the 1974 UNESCO conference with Dr. Theophilo Benga and Dr. Shekanta Diop and the arguments that have been made. This entire time, they're discussing the race of the ancient Egyptians. And in advocating that the ancient Egyptians are blacks, one of the exhibits used, or one of the supporting pieces of evidence that was attempted to be used, was the very name Kemet, the name of their country. So we're talking about a place name. And listen, a place name, a toponym, never ever refers to people. A toponym never refers to people. The moment that you say toponym, that completely eliminates that whole argument. This entire argument has been dead. That's why I call it, if y'all heard me from time to time, I call it a zombie topic. It's a topic that refuses to die, but it's dead. It's the Walking Dead topic. It's already been debunked. The place name. This is why you see the title of our book, The Meaning of the Place Name Kemet. If people are going to show black pots, black animals, black this, black that, or red this, red that, they could knock themselves out. They could, whatever floats their boat. We're talking about the place name. It's clear as day in our titles, in our videos, in our publication, the whole thing. This is what I mean by ghost arguments. So people have used this argument, misconstrued it for whatever reason. One of the reasons is to attract viewership, likes, build up channels, build up audiences, and all this other kind of thing. And it's cool. People could, knock yourself out. It's 8 billion people in the world. I mean, do your thing. But back to the reality on the ground is at all times we're talking about the place name Kemet. And the argument has been that the very name of the country, Kemet, is referring to the skin color of the people. So there is no new argument until people acknowledge that first. Ask people, do they stand behind Diop on that? That's it. But anyway, let me keep on going. Let's keep it going. That's why I keep referring y'all to old videos. See, because a lot of people are new to the conversation. And when you're new to the conversation, you're jumping in, you're listening to people who are also late to the conversation. And they misconstrue the argument. That's why we call it ghost argument, straw man. These people are Wizard of Oz, Michael Jackson. He's on down the yellow brick road with Dorothy as Diana Ross type straw man arguments. And don't forget Lil Toto. The Tin Man, I mean all of them. You got the Tin Man, you got the Straw Man, the Cowardly Lion, all of that making noise. Let's keep on going. All right, but I think I have seen enough. I don't see any questions. So Deshareb, you had a comment before, and let me address that. Where did it go? You said plural. Why plural? Where was it? Here we go, right here. So he said just plural rule. Why restricted to 2? So the answer is very simple. In the ancient Egyptian language, they have single, plural, and dual. It's just that simple. The plural is marked by a W, that what we transliterate as a W. The dual is marked by what we transliterate as a W Y in the masculine and just a Y in the feminine. All right? That's why. So idebwi is a masculine dual word. That's why we restrict it to 2. You don't say, see, in English, we don't have that. We only have dual. And even when we do dual things, we got to say a pair of. Give me a pair of shoes. See, in English, we just got the S or S or ES morphs to denote plurality. But in ancient Egyptian, there's a dual forms. There's a dual number. There's in gender, there's 2. In numbers, there's 3. Okay, single, plural, and dual. And notice how I said them in that order. People normally say single, dual, and plural because you think 1, 2, 3. No, it's single, plural, and dual. And there's a reason for that. Sign up for the class, and you know. But that's to address that. So the word idebwi is a dual. Like tawi is dual. Tau is plural. Tawi is dual. Ta is singular. So we have ta, tau, tawi. Ta, tau, tawi. All right. Any other questions? It's an hour and 40 minutes. It's a good time to go ahead and so everybody type 1 who followed the brief lesson for tonight. Type number 1 if you have followed and you kept up with it. Type number 2 if you're just as confused now as you were in the beginning. And if that's the case, I expect you to ask questions, but I don't see them. So I'm gonna hopefully I'll see some ones. So type 1 if you followed along. Everything's type 1 and 2. So you may be confused on a few things, and that's cool. Sat 12 said, Seshu part 2, people are mad now that you won't allow black land as a possibility, that you are 100% certain Kemet has nothing to do with something black colored. No, Sat 12, people are mad because people want to make the Egyptians black anachronistically. That's what it's all about. We're there will be no moving the goalposts over here. There will be no tearing down football fields and rebuilding them somewhere else. All right? None of that. This entire argument is hinged on people wanting the ancient Egyptians to be black anachronistically. People want to apply our modern social construct of race, the racial category called black today. They want to march it backwards in time and apply it to the ancient Egyptians to be able to say we are the ancient Egyptians, or that we are of the ancient Egyptians. That's what it really boils down to. That's the elephant in the room. And I address elephants in the room. That's what it is. People just got to be honest. That's what people are mad at. That's really what it is. And people stood behind the initial argument by Diop for so long. And so when it comes back up and people find out that that was incorrect, that adds to the anger. That's what people are mad at. And so Sat 12, what I would like for you to do, this is what I recommend. The video that I showed earlier on our channel is called DWW, which stands for Divine Words Wednesdays. It's discussions on the meaning of Kemet and the use of adjectives. It was a video that was done 6 years ago. I suggest you watch it, right? And then next time I see you, let me know what you think. And I'm doing it that way for a reason. I want you to see what I was saying 6 years ago and how nothing has changed. And you'll see how people are just inventing ghost arguments and things today for for multiple reasons. Anything else? I don't see anything else. I thought I just saw your comment. Yep, I highlighted. Oh, so everybody, okay, so I see ones. He said but one. He said 1, 2. So Pat Most, so first, everything is everything. Oh, he said 1/2. He said half. Pat Most said 1.5. Everything is everything. Shoot me your question. Pat Most or Pop Most. Shoot me your question if you have a question. Desharab, I hope you understood about that dual form. Anybody? And you know what's crazy? I want to highlight this from Mika. People will wear orange makeup and still argue black. What that comment reminded me of is I was told not too long ago, I think it was a week and a half ago. I asked the brother Shaka Ndugu Kemet. Matter of fact, hold up. Let me just bring something up real quick. I have to show y'all this. I have to show you all this right here. Let's see if I can get it on the screen. Y'all have to see this. And listen, I want some interaction with you all in the chat. You all hanging out with me. I'm hanging out. We're just hanging, right? I want your thoughts on this right here. So let me first prep y'all. I asked the brother Shaka and Dugu Kemet on his channel, and we had a good conversation in terms of the conversation itself. It was one-on-one conversation. It was no, cutting people off and out trying to out talk one another and stuff like that. So I appreciate the conversation. The content of it, everybody can watch it and see what that was about. But I had asked the brother Shaka and Dugu Kemet on his channel. I asked him, is he black? What color is his skin? Not his membership into the social class of black. I was asking the skin color, right? And let me ask the chat. Do y'all remember his answer? Were any of you all there? Let me start there. Were any of you all, and I know I got this white screen on the screen. Were any of you all there for that discussion? And if you were, do you remember my question to him? And do you all remember his answer? Do y'all remember his answer? Anybody? Okay, so Sat 12 was there. Sat 12, you close. Okay, everything says, yeah, Wujao, you got to clear up the black issue. Folks think you hate blacks or yourself. Man, if people think that's weird. Okay, but let me tell y'all, because I don't want to take too long. He said that he is light black. And don't make me go get the audio clip. But he said he was light black. But so what I want you all to do for me though is light black. This is light black. Okay? These are shades of black. On the right hand side you got black, and on the far left you have light black. Light black is a way of saying gray. Okay? Now I was only asking because we were talking about colors, right? And I was asking them that line of questions because I was establishing the point that a lot of people just seem to overlook due to it. There's a psychological issue going on here. And it's not just any one individual. It's a large amount of the population that goes through this. Is that we have actually lost the sense of what black means and why we say we're black today. That it has nothing to do with a color. It has everything to do with a class, a social category. But it's weird because when you ask people, they know that they're not the color black, but for some reason there's a disconnect in the mind of them knowing that fact that they're not the color black, but because we identify as black in terms of the category so much that we bake the two together. And so you ask somebody, are you black? They say yes. Then you say, are you the color black? Then they give you answers like I got. Well, I'm light black. So anyway, just wanted to do that. But so Sat, I was saying all of that, because I think what you were saying, you said that, hold On the screen, you says Netcher has stuck to Kemet equals black people. Yeah, that's good for him. It doesn't mean that though. And here's the thing: Sat 12. There is no dictionary where you'll find that defined that way. There's no dictionary that will say the place name Kemet, the name of the country, equals black people, refers to black people, or refers to the skin color of people, of anyone. No dictionary will say that. And the reason why I say that, let me be very, very clear with why I say that way. Because all of these people will weigh everything on people with PhDs, people with experts. You got to listen to what people say. A qualified source, not just a source, but a qualified source. Not just a scholar, but an expert scholar. Not just somebody who is studious in the field, but a PhD'd person in the field. And what's interesting is that no scholar, no expert, etc., defines the place name Kemet as having anything to do with the skin color of anyone. But yet, when we're having a discussion and doing an investigation, people will ask us to show them in the dictionary. Show me in the dictionary where this says that. Well, what you do, remember the motto. Remember the motto, kill the noise, learn to discern. So when you hear these things, just simply ask people, show me in the dictionaries where the place name Kemet is defined as black people. Because remember, that is the original argument per Diop. And people have forgotten that. All these people arguing have forgotten that. All right. I guess that's it. Let's see. Deshrab. I didn't understand it. What other related languages have this supposed dual? Yeah. Deshrab. Your questions are have become I don't understand your questions at this point. You're acting as though dual is not a grammatical number in the ancient Egyptian language. If that's the case, then you definitely, you really have to. I would just suggest that you take a class or get any book on the Egyptian language, any one of them. All right, and if you need me to, I could show you some tonight. But let me keep it going. I got 7 minutes max. All right, listen. I'm seeing conversations in the chat. Listen, this is not this type of party, y'all. We're here on this channel to engage information, and I'm all about having fun while doing so. But I'm not reading all of the comments, but it's not cool at all if there's going to be any back and forth stuff. Save that for the other platforms. Listen, you all do realize on YouTube and on your Google account, you can hide or block people. I believe you can. I've never done it, but at least that's what other people say. So if you find yourself getting into it with people and there's a pattern there, just either ignore them or block them. It's just that simple. We have to be grown over here. All right. And I don't see any other questions. It looks like everybody understood what was what. Sat 12, Asaram Ka and Shaka say that Kemet just means the black. Yeah, well, if they say just the black, The dictionary say the black land though. You see, Sat 12, just understand this. People are just gonna say whatever. They're just gonna say whatever, and the logic is inconsistent because the moment you hold them to dictionary definition. See, it's inconsistent because it's not a genuine investigation that these people are doing. People are just arguing. They're looking for things. Mind you, these conversations have been going on for years and years. And so for years and years, people just look for little things to say against something. And so here's the thing that I advocate cooperative scholarship. If people really were interested in investigating and solving research questions, people would team up. They wouldn't their first knee-jerk reaction wouldn't be to be an opponent, to be a kef to you, an enemy or an opponent. But people do that because that's the environment of these YouTube streets, to draw attention, to draw likes, to draw a crowd, to draw views, to draw subscribers, and all the other kind of stuff. People are in the business of building up their channels. People are in the business of monetizing things and doing all that kind of stuff. You know, if it's not monetizing, it's building up viewership, but for all the wrong reasons. So people need to have cooperative scholarship and do this. But anyway, to that point, that's fine. People could say that. It just means the black. But the dictionaries will tell you that it means black land, and then when they give their explanatory commentary, they say it alludes to the alluvial soil of the inundated Nile River, which deposits black silt from the highlands in the south, coming downstream to the north, depositing this black silt on the banks, creating fertility and life and prosperity forever and ever. You'll hear all of that, and we know all of that. I could probably quote every book that says that. It's not a problem. But the one thing that you will not see any of those dictionaries say, that the place named Kemet has anything to do with people's skin color. Some of the Egyptians are depicted reddish brown, others dark brown. It is not clear how the Egyptians would describe a person dark brown compared to a lighter brown, since they had no word for brown. Sat 12, it was all Desher. The ancient Egyptian canon, the national canon for over 3,000 years, was Desher, which is red. And red was not a single monochrome color. It was a range of shades that today we would say red, reddish, from reddish brown to a pink. That's what they use for themselves. And we also have to keep in mind that colors are used as distinction categorical or ontological tools to categorize things. So Sat 12, let me give you an example, right? You may have a pile of rubbish, right? Just a pile of stuff, right? And you want to separate that pile of just junk. You want to put all round things, circular things, round things on the left-hand side. You want to put all sharp-cornered or square things on the right-hand side. So on the left, you got round stuff, circular stuff. On the right, you got square stuff, sharp-cornered stuff. It's things with corners. Now, when you divide those things up like that, you have just created two categories called round on the left and called square, or let's say circle. Circle is on the left, square is on the right. But it doesn't mean that everything on either side is made up of the same stuff. You may have round plastic stuff, or circle plastic stuff. You may have circle rubber stuff, circle metal stuff, circle styrofoam stuff. They're all different, but you categorize them for what they have in common, which is circle. And the same thing with the square. So now notice that I use shape as my ontological tool. You see that? I use two shapes as my ontological tool, my tool to differentiate two categories of existence: circle and square. Well, guess what? Ancient people, even people, those of us today, modern societies, we do the same thing. We use colors as ontological tools to create categories of existences, two distinct categories. Colors. And I hope y'all get that and understand that. So let me keep on going. Keep on going down, keep on going down. And I'm at the 2-hour mark, and I'm definitely going to wrap it up, and I don't see any more questions, which is perfect. Okay, so everything is everything. I heard that Athribis was not a temple at that time, Seshu. Is that correct? I heard that Athribis was not a temple. The temple was called Hut-Hiri-Ib, and Hut-Hiri-Ib as a temple did not exist in the Old Kingdom. But that's completely irrelevant, because the place where the temple was built is in the same place that became later known as Athribis. So it's like this here. So I said this last show. The earth, like we describe the earth, or let's just not even say the earth. Let's just use some place on the earth. Here's a question to you. Did Africa exist before it was called Africa? I'm gonna repeat the question. Did Africa exist before it was called Africa? The answer is yes. The landmass that we now call Africa existed prior to the word Africa being applied to it. The earth was the earth prior to us applying the word earth to the earth. Athribis is simply a name, a word that was popularized for a location. The location existed regardless. And I hope everybody understands that. Like Homo sapiens sapiens did not emerge in Africa. If we're gonna keep to that logic and say, well, Africa was not called Africa until Africa was called Africa. So no way can Homo sapiens sapiens emerge on Africa when Africa wasn't called Africa. So you could see how really silly the logic becomes when people say stuff like that. So everything. When you're asking me that Athribis was not a temple at that time, that's totally irrelevant. And see, that's the level that the conversation has come, because it's not about the temple, it's about the name. Like for example, Kom Ombo and Ombos, those are names that these locations are known for. Like Nakata, the archaeological site of Nakata, the Nakata culture The people of that particular culture that archaeologists call Nakata culture, they didn't call their culture Nakata culture. Does that therefore negate the fact that that culture existed? This place that's now called Athribis, or actually now it's called Tel Atrib today. This place called Tel Atrib, or popularly known as Athribis, that's the name of a place. That's its popular name today, and how people can identify with it. That's it. That's all there is to it. So it doesn't matter. And see, that's what I'm saying. People are making arguments as if they mean something, and it doesn't. So hopefully you understand that everything is everything. Sat 12, if we try to categorize dark and light stuff, you know that could be a problem deciding some. Same thing with dark brown. Do I put it in black or the red bin? No, but see, my point with the colors is that you're not using colors for colors. You're not using colors for their sense, their color notion, the color sense. And this gets into semantics. When you get semantics, you're dealing with sem, which is meaning and the sense of something, right? Like, for example, everybody in America that self-identifies as black, they're not using the term B-L-A-C-K, that term black. They're not using it in its color sense. They're using it in the sense of its categorical function. Because you got people who are not the color black calling themselves black, which demonstrates the point that they're not using it as a color. They're using it as a label for a category of people. All right, and this is the last thing I'm going to say. There's no way possible that the ancient Egyptians could name their country black from the inspiration of their skin color, if at all times and throughout the scribal and artistic canon of ancient Egypt, they painted themselves desher, or red. And so with that, I appreciate everybody tuned in. And any last minute things I'm missing, Deshareb, did you also coincidentally come to the same conclusion as Asar on what the I-6 glyph is? Deshareb, before I answer your questions, I want to know if you understood about the dual in the language. Because see, this is the thing. What I don't like to do is to just ignore or just pass off questions and answers, you know. So you made a statement earlier about the dual, and I just want to make sure that you understand that the grammatical number of dual exists in the language. So you first have to hit me back with that. Do you understand that? Do you acknowledge that? If not, why not? He says Reggie is not entirely, but African Renaissance TV. The issue is that people are bringing up arguments, because here's the thing: we're not just having a conversation. People are not just having a conversation about the cattle culture aspect of the ancient Egyptian culture. Like, nobody's going live and saying, "Hey, let's discuss the ancient Egyptians' views on the bovines, the cattle, and things." They're not doing that. What people are doing, they're bringing these things up to give the appearance of debating and arguing against points that were never made in the first place. Points that we already know about, that we already even say and talk about. almost every day I get asked a question: is there, Bujao, do you believe that the word Kim means black? I'm like, there is an adjective black in the language. We say it every day, all day. So somebody's misinforming people. And that's why I say, just go back and look at the videos. Go back and look at the videos. And African Renaissance, this is something I want you to understand. That even with black cattle, the argument is like this: that the Egyptians are inspired. But see, now you gotta peep game. You gotta peep the way it's being presented. The ancient Egyptians, and it's all in support of Kemet being identified with skin color. So if the cattle are described as black, then the Egyptians saw themselves as cattle. And therefore, if the sacred cattle, the sacred bulls, the sacred herds are black, and the Egyptians saw themselves as cattle of God, or the cattle of Ra, etc., then they saw themselves as black, and therefore, because of these cattle and because they saw themselves as black, that's the inspiration for why they call their country black and everything. Then that falls apart because the Egyptians did not represent themselves as black. In terms of a color. That falls. And it's the same argument. It's the Diop argument 2.0. That's all it is. It's trying to justify. It's the same way. This is what's happening, y'all. Dr. Ben said that the Egyptians said they come from the south. They come from the foothills of the mountain of the moon where the god happy dwells, blah, 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 right? It's supposed to have been in the papyrus of Hunefer. It's not in there. Dr. Ben was wrong. Instead of people just saying that he's wrong, and that's cool, and being okay with that, because nobody's infallible. Everybody makes mistakes and whatnot. He could have merged something he saw or whatever and got it confused, got it mixed up. But instead of people saying it's wrong, people try to reach for years and try to find stuff and be apologetic about that. Well, this is the same thing that's happening with Shekinah Diop. Diop was just simply wrong. Kemetiu does not mean black people, and the Egyptians did not have only one word that they used to designate themselves, as he says in his book. He said the Egyptians only had one word to designate themselves, which is Kemet. And he shows the word, and then some other guy found it, and he put it on the page. The guy, the person who found it was supposed to finish out the art, that part of the book, but never did. And so Diop advanced the idea. And that's not true. Everybody knows the word remich is the word that they used to distinguish themselves from everybody else. But Diop said it was only one word, and that was Kemet. So that wasn't true. Then he said it means the blacks literally. So Diop is the one that advanced that. And so all of this talk is really trying to take up for that mistake. That's it. People can introduce bulls, cows, pottery, people's names with Kim in it, all they want. And they convolute the arguments because they just don't want to go back to the point that the ancient Egyptians did not name their country from any inspiration of them being black in skin color or anything like that. And what's even crazy is if ancient Egypt is surrounded by other black people, why would they single out their country as black if they were around a whole sea of black people? Think about it. If Kemet is black, then Sudan must be black. And Uganda and Kenya must be black. Y'all are crazy, boy. I'm telling you, boy. Y'all are crazy. I think people don't have anything better to do but to argue online. But hopefully everybody learned something tonight, and I don't want to keep this long. Sesh, why write whole books on the meaning of Kemet? Is it that important, the root of the country names? Who here even knows what the word America means without having to go to Google? Well, the point of writing whole books on anything is to share information. So some people have research questions and they investigate and they share their investigation. So that's one answer of why. You know, why are there so many Egyptian grammars? Why are there so many Egyptian dictionaries? Why is there just one dictionary? Why did the next man write an Egyptian dictionary if one already existed? Why write another Egyptian grammar when one already existed? Why did James Hodge write a grammar and James P. Allen write a grammar together? And both of them come out of the same university area, Brown's University. Why? Gardner, Sir Alan Gardner, grammar was used for a whole long time prior to that, and there's many other grammars, but I'm just using those two as example. So you gotta when you ask me why something, that's I don't know. Why do anything? As if Diop said, everything I say is right. Now go fight the white man. Yeah. All right. So hopefully, eventually people gonna get over the whole black conversation because I'm waiting for enough people to want to talk about the genius of ancient Egypt. Right now, we can't even get past the surface, and I mean it, pun intended. We can't get past the surface of Egypt, meaning we can't get past the skin of Egypt, meaning we can't get past the skin color being black Egypt, let alone get down to the genius of the Egyptian culture and things like that. You don't see people talk about that. People are preoccupied with this Crayola crayon war of blackness. And when I said everything, you say, okay, people think I hate black or whatever the case is, or I don't like black or not myself or something like that. That's retarded. Yep. All right. The word Nubia means super duper black according to experts. Yeah, that's what it would be. That's what it would be, according to the experts. Sumo, he said Kemet means black land. Y'all playing games. What Kemet doesn't mean black people. The country name Kemet does not mean black people, like Diop said. He said riparian or black people is not an official definition. Yeah, Sumo is definitely a person that is a stickler to dictionaries. Whatever the dictionary says, that's definitely it. Yeah. Either learn the glyphs yourself or just go to college. Yeah, Sumo. If you would like to come on the panel, and let's see between me and you, let's see who knows the glyphs and who needs to go to college. Let's do that. We could do that right now. Let me know if you want to do that. Let me know. I'm way over 2 hours. But let me know real quick. Be quick. Okay, I got you, Sumo. I read your comment wrong. She said, "Don't leave." Yeah, Sumo, I got you. I got your last comment. Sat 12. They are trying to say you don't even like the word black yourself. I don't know why that is. Black. Black, black. So, I mean, if I don't like a word, I would. I mean, I wouldn't say it. No, that's the thing. See, people are going to say that. That people are going to start saying that. And again, I'm very. One thing about me, I'm very, very, very consistent. Very consistent. You can go back in the videos and hear me say all this stuff over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. Black, or any color for that matter. Like, white people are not white. Black people are not actually black. The color. These are labels for categories today. This is a modern social construct. Outside of that, outside of the category of black, you describe things based on, if you're going to use the word black for its color sense to be a descriptive word to describe something as being black or dark or whatever the case is. That's a completely different thing. When people today, and I'm speaking of definitely Americans, people here in America, the United States of America, who identify as black, when somebody says out their mouth, I am black, those three words, I am black, the word black in that sentence is not used for the color sense. It is being used for the category sense. The category of people. It is a social category. Just like we say white person. The word white in that phrase, white person, is not used for the color sense. The person is not literally white. It is used because white is a category of people that is distinct from the other category called black. And with that, I'm gonna say definitely have to go. Appreciate y'all coming out and review this and look over it. Demonyms is the name of it. We found out what was a demonym. Ancient Egyptians expressed demonyms. They used relational adjectives to do so. And we found out how Kemet relates to demonyms. Kemet relates to demonyms because Kemet is a toponym. And the word Kemeti, Kemetiyu, those are relational adjectives, hence they are demonyms. And what are demonyms? Demonyms are words that establishes a relationship between a person or a group of people and the place, hence the place name, the place in which they reside or which they originate, etc. That's what it is. Examples, again, Canada. Canada is a place. If you describe the people, you would say Canadian, people of Canada. Russia is a place. Russians, those are people of Russia. Egypt, the modern country called Egypt today, the people are called Egyptians, those of Egypt. But if we go back to what one of the names was called Kemet. So a Romanized way of saying Kemet would be Cometians. Cometians would be those of Kemet. But in the language, they use the word Kemetiyu, which is a relational adjective, just like Cometian would be a relational adjective in English. It's the same thing. It's just that simple. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Can't get any more simple than that. All right. So with that, I'm going to say Shemim Hotep. And I appreciate everybody tuned in. And we'll continue with another topic next time. All right. You all let me know what you all want to go over. All right. Appreciate that. And Shalom Hotep.
Plato said that when you go to Kemet school, you became more alert. You made wake up, your spirit wake up. And you became a more human being. That's your character is built in a school. When you study what we call classical studies, we must know maybe nature. You see, maybe in the future we need to know some heretic too. We need to know maybe nature. In Kemet, for me, is education. The way they think, they build, and they practice their education is very unique in history. Without education, I believe there will be no Kemet.